Last year, Google introduced its first smartwatch, and this year they already introduced its successor with the Pixel Watch 2. Now on this channel I usually review sports watches and fitness trackers, but since smartwatches are becoming increasingly suitable for athletes as well, I occasionally dedicate a review to them as well. Last year, Google's Pixel Watch showed promising features, but as a sports watch it was only partially suitable. So this year there's a new attempt with some exciting new features and an improved battery life. But is that enough to make the new Pixel Watch a good sports watch? That's what we'll discuss in today's video, so let's get started. From the outside, it's hard to distinguish the Pixel Watch 2 from its predecessor. It retains the same design, including the two buttons on the right side of the case, with one of these buttons being a rotating crown. This crown can be used alongside the touch display, which I find quite useful. However, what I don't really like is that just like last year, the watch is just available in one size option. The watch has a case diameter of 41mm and a thickness of 12.3mm. Many other watches give you the choice between 2 or even 3 sizes, with the 40 to 41mm range that we have here usually representing the smallest size. So the Google Pixel Watch 2 is really very small, which people with smaller wrists will probably like. Personally, I find it a bit too small, to be honest. But perhaps that's just because I usually wear those big Garmin, Polar, Suunto and Coros watches on my wrists. But it's not just the case that's small, but also the display with its 1.2 inches. For comparison, the slightly smaller 40mm version of the Samsung Galaxy Watch 6, for example, has a 1.3 inch display. The Pixel Watch 2 has relatively wide display borders, which may not be immediately noticeable as they are black, blending seamlessly with the display. While it doesn't stand out, on some screens fewer pieces of information may be displayed due to the smaller screen size. Overall, apart from the size, I must say that I really like the design of the watch. It's very minimalist, the display blends seamlessly into the case, and yeah, I just personally really like the look, but of course that's just a matter of taste. As mentioned, compared to the Pixel Watch 1, there's hardly any differences from the outside. However, there's a difference in the materials used. While last year's version used stainless steel, the Pixel Watch 2 now utilizes aluminum. This makes the watch a bit more prone to scratches and just less robust, but also lighter. At just 31 grams, it's one of the lightest watches on the market. The display, case and buttons aren't additionally protected here, as seen in traditional sports watches or, for example, the Apple Watch Ultra. Therefore, the Pixel Watch 2 is more prone to scratches or damage in general. Now, I've just been wearing this watch for about 3 weeks now, so of course it just looks brand new, but I doubt that it will look like this in like 1 year from now. The watch has an OLED display which is bright with good black levels and vibrant colors. It reaches a maximum brightness of 1000 nits, which is pretty much like most of its competitors apart from the newer Apple Watches. What's also really nice is that you can immediately notice that the watch is faster now, offering better performance. Google switched from Samsung to a Snapdragon chip for the processor. This upgrade means that the Pixel Watch 2 now has a quad-core processor instead of a dual-core one. This makes the watch noticeably faster. Apps open instantly and overall everything runs smoothly. This is an area where this watch, like many other smartwatches, definitely outperforms traditional sports watches. But the new chip is also supposed to be more efficient, which is expected to contribute to an improved battery life. And this brings us to the next topic. Battery life is one of the main differences between like all smartwatches and all sports watches, because sports watches in the worst case last like 4 to 5 days. On average, a sports watch lasts like 10 to 12 days, and some of them even last several weeks. This is unimaginable with smartwatches. With the Pixel Watch 1 from last year, for example, I found that the battery would die after about 24 hours, sometimes even before the end of a single day. However, this is said to have improved now. Last year's battery capacity was 294 mAh and now it's 306 mAh. While this is only a small difference, the new chip is expected to contribute to better performance as well. Google claims that the Pixel Watch 2 can last up to 24 hours even in always-on mode. During a 1-hour workout, the watch consumes about 10 to 12% of battery for me personally. On a day when I do this workout and use the watch normally throughout the day, the watch consumes about 60% of battery. Additionally, about 10% is used during an 8-hour sleep tracking session, leaving about 30% battery the next morning. So this year the watch lasts about 1.5 days, at least if, like me, you regularly track sports activities. So yeah, in the end you still have to charge the watch pretty much every day, but at least you don't really have to worry about the watch not making it through a single day. However, I occasionally go beyond the normal daily routine, embark on multi-day hikes or climb mountains like Kilimanjaro in September, which even took several days. In such cases, the watch is obviously not suitable at all. For everyday use, everyone must decide for themselves whether this battery life is sufficient. It has definitely improved compared to last year. But even more so, the charging speed has also improved significantly, with the watch reportedly reaching 50% in about 30 minutes and 100% in about 75 minutes. This has also proven to be true for me personally, at least almost. After 30 minutes the watch had 49% and after 75 minutes it reached 98%. So, unlike the battery life itself, the charging speed is really excellent. Now let's dive into the main part of this video, so the sports, fitness and health features of the Pixel Watch 2. First of all, you should know that some time ago Fitbit was acquired by Google, which means that all the classic fitness tracking features such as steps, calories, intensity minutes and so on this Google Watch also run through the Fitbit app. So Fitbit also had a decisive role in the whole development of the watch, including all of the sensors and the associated software, which is something you'll definitely notice in a positive sense. So if you already had a Fitbit tracker before, much of the whole user interface will be familiar to you. From the home screen you can swipe sideways through the widgets. These include steps where you can see how far you've progressed towards your daily goal, heart rate, a quick start menu for the training mode, sleep analysis and some smartwatch related widgets like a calendar or weather. If you click into one of these widgets, you see more details. For steps, for example, you can see when you completed them, when your most active hour was, or the average number of steps you walked per day this week. Returning from here takes you to the typical Fitbit app called Fitbit Today. You can also access this app by clicking on the rotating crown from the home screen, which takes you to the app overview, where you can find the Fitbit Today app. By the way, I also have to say that the whole menu navigation is really intuitive and simple. Garmin in particular often has very complicated menu setups, which new users might find overwhelming. In the Fitbit app you can see all the data measured by the sensors throughout the day, such as steps, floors climbed, distance covered, calories burned, active zone minutes, training sessions, heart rate and so on. All these metrics are tracked 24/7. For sleep analysis, the watch shows how long you slept and how long you were in different sleep phases. During sleep, the watch also measures blood oxygen saturation thanks to an SpO2 sensor. However, just like last year, this is only tracked during sleep. You can't check oxygen saturation during the day. While this metric is most crucial during sleep indeed, it's also relevant in scenarios like hiking or mountain climbing, indicating how well your body is acclimatizing. But unfortunately, it's still only possible to see it for the night. A brand new sensor in the Pixel Watch 2 is also the skin temperature sensor. The watch can now detect changes in skin temperature, providing better insight into overall well-being. Additionally, it's designed to facilitate tracking the female menstrual cycle. This new temperature sensor, along with an electrical sensor that detects sweat on the skin, aims to identify so-called body reactions. These are situations where the body reacts mainly to stress responses. In such cases, the watch asks you for feedback or how you feel and suggests breathing exercises, for example. This is a nice idea, and the watch usually recognizes the right situations when I'm feeling stressed, for example, but I've noticed that this happens a bit too late. So like 10 to 15 minutes after I felt stressed, the watch asks me why I felt stressed, how I felt, or suggests me breathing exercises, and by that time I've already managed to handle the situation on my own most of the time. Regarding breathing exercises, we have the Fitbit Relax app, where you can perform guided breathing exercises. Simple but often quite useful. Another noteworthy feature is that you can perform an ECG with the Pixel Watch 2. This shows whether your heart rhythm is normal or if there are any signs of atrial fibrillation. Of course, in case of doubt, this can never replace a visit to the doctor, but it can be a starting point for regular monitoring. So overall, typical for a Fitbit device, all of these fitness and health features for your daily life are very useful and sophisticated. Now let's take a look at the training mode. Here there are many different training profiles. However, two modes are missing: an open water swimming mode and a multisports mode for triathlon. During training you can display up to 4 data fields on the watch, which is sufficient in most cases, but the data enthusiast inside me sometimes wishes for more fields. Some sports watches, for example, allow up to 6 or even 8 data fields. As for the data itself, you have access to classic statistics such as running distance, time, heart rate, pace, steps, calories, or altitude. However, it doesn't offer much more than that. This is one of the things where the watch definitely can't compete with traditional sports watches from Garmin, Polar, Coros or Suunto. These watches provide additional statistics like running efficiency, ground contact time or vertical movement. Running power, for example, is also becoming more popular, which is now possible with watches like the Apple Watch as well. However, the Pixel Watch 2 keeps it very minimalist in this regard and not in a positive sense. However, you can use various additional modes such as the pacer mode or the heart rate zone mode. In the latter, you can set a heart rate zone for your training and the watch notifies you if you deviate from it. In pacer mode, the watch helps you maintain the ideal speed and you can also train towards a specific calorie goal, for example. These modes are definitely useful. One thing I don't like, however, is that you can't connect external sensors to the watch, like chest straps for heart rate monitoring or cadence sensors or power meters for cycling. So theoretically, you can connect these sensors via Bluetooth to the watch, but you can't use them in the pre-installed training mode. And if we take a look at the watch from a sports perspective, this is really a no-go. Another missing feature compared to traditional sports watches is navigation. While you can of course use Google Maps on the watch, since it's a Google Watch, you can't use any navigation features in the training mode, so you cannot load routes onto the watch and navigate based on them while cycling, for example. This is still a major drawback of this watch and many other smartwatches out there. The good thing here is that Google also offers the Google Play Store where you can download apps to the watch and almost infinitely expand its functionality. For example, for Apple, there's the app Work Outdoors, which enables navigation during training. However, I haven't found a similarly good app for the Pixel Watch 2 yet. And even if I would find one, talking about good sports watches, you should ideally find all of these navigation features in the pre-installed training mode and not just some kind of external apps. Another thing I'm missing on the Pixel Watch 2 are advanced training analysis apps. Garmin, Suunto, Coros or Polar watches, for example, have widgets for training status that show the current training effects you're achieving. They also have widgets like training readiness, indicating which factors are affecting your recovery and how ready you are for your next workout. Fitbit doesn't offer all of this, at least not in the free version. There's also a Fitbit Premium version where you can get features like the so-called daily readiness score. It isn't as detailed as for traditional sports watches, but it's a step in that direction. With Fitbit Premium you also get workout videos, recipes and a more detailed sleep analysis. If you buy the Pixel Watch 2 you will get 6 months of Fitbit Premium for free, after that it's $9.99 per month. Personally, I'm really not a fan of all of these subscription models, so I would never get Fitbit Premium, so don't worry, everything you see in this video, everything you have seen and everything you will see is included in the free Fitbit program. So yeah, the free health and fitness features from Fitbit are really good and well thought out. The training mode also offers useful features with modes like the heart rate mode. However, compared to classic sports watches, there's still a lot missing here, like the navigation features, the advanced statistics and training evaluation, and the compatibility with external sensors. Next, let's talk about the accuracy of the Pixel Watch 2, starting with the GPS. First of all, you should know that the watch does not provide multiband GPS like most newer sports watches, but also some smartwatches like the Apple Watch Ultra. Last year, the Pixel Watch 1 didn't have multiband either, but I still found it to be very accurate. So how accurate is the Pixel Watch 2 this year, despite still not having multiband? First of all, I conducted my classic forest test where I walked the same path back and forth on narrow forest trails so that the recorded route should ideally consist of 2 perfectly overlapping segments. And as we can see, the watch handled it quite well. There were occasional inaccuracies in between, but they were within acceptable limits. Here, for example, you can see the Polar Ignite 3, which despite having multiband is somewhat less accurate. Then for comparison you see various watches. The Polar Vantage V3, the Suunto Race and the new Apple Watch Ultra 2. The Pixel Watch 2 is definitely not worse than all of those. The Garmin Fenix 7 Pro, shown in yellow, was however a bit more accurate. Well, so far so good. However, like all my tests, I performed this test not just once but multiple times. In this attempt, for example, the GPS signal was unfortunately lost intermittently, covering approximately half of the entire hike. Thus we see this straight line cutting through the forest, which does not reflect my actual completed route at all. Here you can also see one of my classic running routes. At first glance it seems fine, with no apparent shortcuts or the route cutting through buildings, for example. However, the GPS signal was lost again, resulting in this straight line cutting through the residential area. through houses, even though I was actually running around the outside here. There were also some more inaccuracies when I was running along here. Unfortunately, this did not just happen once. What I've often noticed is that it sometimes took forever for the GPS signal to be recognized. So here I wanted to start running, waited for the GPS signal to connect, but nothing happened for a good 5 minutes. Frankly, I got fed up and just started running. Even after more than 5 minutes of running, the watch was still searching for the GPS signal, so the route recording only started here, although I had started running significantly earlier. I'm not sure exactly why, but this year I've had really bad experiences with the GPS of the Pixel Watch 2. As mentioned earlier, the Pixel Watch 2 now has a set of new sensors developed in collaboration with Fitbit. Part of this includes a new optical heart rate sensor, which is supposed to capture more accurate heart rate data. But does it really live up to that claim? This is what I tested in multiple of my training sessions by wearing both the watch and a chest strap and then comparing both data sets afterwards. In this running session, for example, it didn't look so good, especially compared to all the other watches I've tested so far. There were occasional minor inaccuracies. Overall, I think you can certainly work with this measurement, but it's not really precise. For strength training like last year, I couldn't find a way to export my training data, as it seems to only be possible in connection with a recorded GPS route. That's a pity, because when you look at the data side by side, I actually think it doesn't look so bad, especially towards the end of the workout where both curves look very similar. The average heart rate is 80 beats per minute according to the chest strap and 77 beats per minute according to the watch. The maximum heart rate is 128 according to the chest strap, and according to this graph in the Fitbit app, that seems to be approximately accurate. However, in a second session, the two graphs look somewhat less similar. The average heart rate is off by 7 beats, and the maximum heart rate, which is not clearly indicated here, is off by at least 10 beats. So yes, I expected these inaccuracies to happen during strength training, as they seem to occur with all watches, but I was a bit disappointed when it came to running. Alright, so what can we conclude about the new Google Pixel Watch 2? First of all, I want to emphasize here once again that in this video I didn't talk about all of the features of the watch, because undoubtedly this watch is a good smartwatch, and I'm sure there are tons of reviews out there that looked at the watch as a smartwatch. In this video I wanted to focus on the sports features, so I wanted to see, is the Google Pixel Watch 2 a good sports watch? So, is it a good sports watch? Well, it depends. First of all, you can notice that Fitbit is increasingly involved in the development of the watch. Especially the fitness and health features for everyday use are impressive, especially things like ECG or skin temperature that most sports watches lack. For example, only Garmin's Venue 3 has an ECG feature, but it's limited to the US, and also the Polar Vantage V3 has it, but with significant restrictions. So that's definitely a positive aspect about the Pixel Watch 2. Apart from that, personally I once again really like the design, except that the watch is a bit too small. It has a simple minimalist design that I really like, and the operation and menu navigation is super easy and intuitive. On the other hand, while the battery life has improved, it's still not at all on the level of classic sports watches. It lacks navigation features during training, advanced training analysis tools, and compatibility with external sensors. Even more so, however, I found the watch to be very inaccurate, especially with the GPS. The watch lost signal in many of my training sessions, which would just make it impossible for me as an athlete to use this watch. Smartwatches in general are definitely becoming more and more suitable for athletes as well, at least if for the moment you can live with the aforementioned limitations. For iOS users, there's the Apple Watch, and the Android counterpart could be the Pixel Watch 2, but for now I would say watches like the Samsung Galaxy Watch 6, for example, are still ahead. But for now, let me know in the comment section down below what you think of the new Google Pixel Watch 2. If you found this video helpful or interesting, I really put a lot of work and dedication into this video, so you could really support me by giving this video a quick thumbs up. And if you don't want to miss any more videos in the future, you should definitely subscribe to this channel. But for now, thanks a lot for watching and see you next time.